Ave, true to Christ. Hey everybody, this is Catholic Trash Talk, and today we are going to be talking about Radical Like Jesus. This is the new series I'm doing because as soon as I get done with the Symbolon series, I was going to do this, but now I have to do this on top of reading the Ecumenical Council, so look forward to more content. These are focused on being shorter videos. They're just different challenges that you can add to your life to improve your faith life. It's a way that I can point out the dangerous aspects of Protestantism, that I can bring you guys a new challenge to add to your life, and I can grill my Protestant self. So it's fun for everybody. So let me get the video set up and we'll get right into it. So before we start, I do have a little paper that we will get into because my whole idea was I could write down the challenges and make them better. So let's see what Greg Stier first has to say.
In Luke 2:52, the Bible tells us that Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So here he is, a teenage boy, and the Bible tells us that he's growing on all four of these levels. It's what I call putting God in the quad. The quad: wisdom, stature, favor with God and man. So wisdom is he grew intellectually. He stretched his mind. He learned. He expanded his brain. Grew in wisdom and stature physically. Jesus grew strong. We know that. He was a carpenter. He ate healthy food. I personally believe Jesus was somewhat jacked in shape because of the nature of his job and kind of the nature of all the walking that he did and the food that he ate. He grew in favor with God spiritually. Obviously, we know that. He had a relationship with God that he continued to cultivate, God the Father. Time in his word, time meditating, praying. We always know he's escaping to pray. Favor with man. He did favor relationally with others that he encountered. It could be his family, his brothers, his sisters, his parents, and those he worked with in carpentry, those in the community that he was raised in. And what an example for us. We need to grow in all four levels: physically, spiritually, intellectually, relationally, God in the quad. So this challenge is that you would kind of make a God in the quad graph and choose an area to focus on. Maybe just, physically, I'm going to start there. Spiritually, I'm going to start there. Intellectually, I'm going to start there. Relationally, I'm going to start there. But choose one rhythm you want to make as part of the consistent habit of your lifestyle in one area and start there. And once that becomes a rhythm, add another, add another, add another, until you have at least one goal in each area of the quad. Like Jesus, we want to grow in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and others. God in the quad is your challenge for this particular chapter.
So again, the issue that we're having with Greg Stier is he's doing the whole Nestorian route where he's almost, the way he's laying out his argument is almost like he's saying that Jesus had to grow into his divinity, or had to grow, his physical body had to grow, and so he had to grow in his wisdom. And that's completely separating the man from the divinity of Christ. It's like if you were to say that Christ didn't become actually divine until he was baptized, but he was man until then. That's a heresy. That's not good. So he has the God in the quad idea of you need to work on four different aspects. Well, for me, I have the God in the basketball, I guess. But you have all these different parts, and I still agree with this. I still stand by this. You have physical, mental, physiological, spiritual, Trinity, church, and unknowns. Now you might be wondering, so that is 8. Why did you turn this from a quad into a pizza? Well, because you got to know what your fuel tank is. It's essentially what the idea is. And you got to work on yourself gradually. So the challenge is you got to work on your physical, mental, physiological, spiritual, Trinity, church, unknown, and emotional needs. So let's start with physical. Physical needs is making sure that you are fueled, making sure you're eating the right food, making sure you're getting the right amount of exercise. And if that's an area that you want to focus on, you got to do one thing at a time and set goals and then meet that goal. But then as soon as you're done with that, you have to move on to another aspect. So you're always going to be working on a maximum of 2 or 3 a day. But you're working on at least one every day, and then you're going to keep adding. But the goal is, once you've done one of the 8, you have to move on to the rest of the 8. You can't just do physical, do mental the next day, and then go back to doing physical. So you got to challenge yourself. It's a game. But even more than that, you have to not only just challenge yourself, but as soon as you get like the whole pie filled of something, now you have to upgrade everything you're doing, and then continue to add and work on one thing each day. So you need to be maintaining what you're doing and keep doing it. And if you fail, well, now you gotta move back and start over, and kind of check yourself and do some inventory and see like, where did you fail there, and then come back to it later. Focus on the other aspects until you can come back to it. But again, the idea is you need to work on these aspects so you can improve yourself as a person. Mental would be, what do you need to read? What do you need to get to be able to get closer to God, to keep your mind sharp, to keep learning? And reading the Bible every day, you're going to be learning. Reading the Catechism every day, you're going to be learning. Physiological, you got to think about the messages that you're putting into your system. So what messages are you putting that are sinful? Maybe affirming sinful behavior or affirming bad decisions. And you got to be able to stamp that out. Spiritual is, what are you doing with God? Are you praying? Are you going to church? Are you participating? Are you working with the members of the body of Christ? Are you working with the church? Are you being a good Christian? Are you learning from your mistakes? All these things are important questions. Now, some of you might have seen the Trinity at the bottom here and been like, why do you have the Trinity? Well, the Trinity, you got to be able to know God better, and that requires you to reflect and pray and think on God. So, you have to go into a deeper aspect than just spirituality. And you might also be wondering, okay, well, how is that different from the church? Because the church is at the bottom there. Well, the church, you actually have to go to church as much as possible. If you're going one day, try to go 2 days a week. If you're going 1 day a week and, you just kind of maybe do things every now and then, but you don't sing, start singing. You got to challenge, what are you doing at church? And then finally, what some of you might be dying to know, what do you mean by unknowns? What are unknowns? Well, those are the issues you're struggling with that are keeping you from living your prayer life, or maybe that you're not aware of. And so you can focus on different aspects of yourself. If you're having anger issues and it doesn't seem like there's any reason that you should be angry, try to find a pattern, or try to see like, what are you getting angry about, or what is the issue. If you're lusting after women and it turns out that you're watching porn every day, why are you doing that? Why are you feeding this behavior? In what way do you think you're helping or hurting your struggle with lust? And these are all important things, but that is everything. Like I said, short video. Feel free to bully me in the comments and tell me when I'm wrong. Let me know in what way you guys train your physical, mental, physiological, emotional unknowns, spirituality, Trinity, church, and I think I said all of them. But in what ways do you guys train yourself? But that's everything, guys. Feel free to bully me in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong. I look forward to hearing from you guys. God bless you all, and I hope you have a blessed day.